Hi everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. I am Fariba, and we're just about to watch House of the Dragon episode 2. I am totally excited about this because, let's just talk about the fact that the headlines for the series has been out of this world right now. For one thing, it, I believe, broke an HBO record for having the highest viewership for just a series premiere, which was, I believe, was almost 10 million, but I think the official number is around like 9.99 million. And then on top of that, a lot of people just cannot stop talking about just the events that happened in the first episode, whether it be the actual tournament, the birth scene, which it's just so harrowing to watch. And then, of course, just kind of the tension that's brewing with the Targaryen family, and the fact that Rhaenyra is now going to be, the heir to the Iron Throne, because she was picked over Daemon. It was as I mentioned before in my previous reaction video, it was a very, very promising series premiere. It definitely felt like we were just going back to the basis of Game of Thrones, like the things that made Game of Thrones great, not just because of the action, not because of the brouhaha, right? It's the actual dialogue, the interaction, the dynamic between the characters, the storytelling. It's all those aspects that made Game of Thrones so incredible, and we're kind of getting that back in House of the Dragon. And of course, one of the reasons why we're kind of getting this is because, well, we have different showrunners, of course. But yeah, I don't know where we are in terms of if we're going to be going deep into any of the what so-called not flashback things, but if we're going to be going forward in time yet or not, or if that's going to be kind of slowly progressing later on. That's something I'll be very curious to see. Of course, again, I want to know how this series is going to build up until the end, just because, of course, because after this, even just one episode has only been dropped, House of the Dragon has been renewed for a second season. So that means that the story is, there's still more story to tell. I don't know if it's still going to focus on Dance of the Dragon, or if they're going to go to a whole different Targaryen story. That's going to be almost kind of going a more anthology situation. I don't know. We have no idea where kind of the series is going, or at least how they're going to rearrange it in a sense. But I'm super curious to see what's going to happen, how it's going to build up until the end of the season, and then what that would mean for the second season. Now, one of the things I'm super excited about this episode is that, as you all know from my first reaction video, I was a bit bummed that we didn't get a opening sequence or a title sequence, and that's the biggest appeal of Game of Thrones is the actual opening, because again, the music is just so beautiful in Game of Thrones, right? But what I have read is that it was actually a creative decision made by the showrunners not to have the actual theme song or opening sequence, whatever, right? Whatever that is, right? They decided not to play it in the first episode because of the fact that they didn't want to ruin the pacing or the atmosphere of the actual episode. Because again, it was a very, very serious episode that was really setting the tone down for what the show is going to be about, who the characters are, who are going to be the big players in a sense. And of course, for me, just to read that, it makes total sense, and I totally respect those opinions, and I think that in a sense, it is the right decision. But now, apparently, we will be having the first ever exposure to the title sequence. I'm going to be very curious to see or hear how it's going to be, because, again, Game of Thrones is kind of based upon, having the map of Westeros, and not just Westeros, but even outside of Westeros with Marine and everything like that. I wonder how they're going to create the title sequence for this show, because it is more Targaryen centered. So are they going to do more so kind of their lore as a sense? I don't really know, but I'm totally excited to see how they kind of do it, or what they plan to do for that. But yeah, I spoke a lot about it, but yeah, without further ado, let's watch House of the Dragons episode 2. I'm just so stoked. Oh, okay. They're using the Game of Thrones song? Okay. That's a lot of blood. Ramen Dramedy, man. But wow, I'm surprised they didn't make an actual original song for this specific series. Interesting. Oh my lord, so much blood. I can't believe we're gonna be living through this. Oh my god, it's bringing back so many memories. Oh my lord. Oh, okay. 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 What in the world?
Sir Ryan was a strong Lord Commander of the King's Guard. But he was ill for some time. He passed in peace, I hope.
Yes, Your Grace. He was found to have passed gently in his sleep. His remains
She's still the cupbearer, even though she's the heir?
The succeeding Lord Commander, Sir Harold, would like to...
I want to seize the stepstones by force and burn out this crab feeder.
I am not prepared to start a war with the free cities.
These pirates are not the free cities.
Who do you think provides them with their ships and tender?
In all of its history, my lord, the Seven Kingdoms have never entered open war with the free cities.
It would be a show of force.
At least the princess has a plan.
Oh.
I only meant that we should at least...
Perhaps there's some better use for the princess's talents, Your Grace.
Why don't you take the princess to see about the new King's Guard posting, Lord Commander?
A fine idea, Your Grace.
This knight will protect you as well. You should choose.
Even when she's the heir, they're still treating her like as if she's inferior. Or that she's incompetent. Like,
defended by a man who's known real combat. Should he not?
Of course, Princess.
Well, let us plan Sir Christian's investiture then.
Okay.
It's truly wondrous what you've built.
Oh. I only pore over the history.
Oh no! Oh.
Tell me how, Miss Rhaenyra.
What do you mean?
Well, these days she doesn't say more than a few words to me. I think she might find it difficult.
Wed our daughter Laena. Unite the two great surviving Valyrian houses. With the Targaryen dragons and the Valyrian fleet bound in blood, you can show the realm that the crown's strongest days are ahead, not behind.
I must admit,
Oh. It's black.
This is our... Replace her for duty's sake. You are the king, but I do not envy you.
Okay.
What was it like flying the Black Dread? You were Valerian's last rider.
only for a short time.
Y'all, this is so messed
With
up.
Valerian died the last memory of Valyria of old.
This is so messed
But
up.
Still lives. Somewhere. But too large for the dragon pit.
Some would say too large for our world.
Do you know where she nests?
I'm sorry.
I am disgusted.
The dragon keepers believe she went home somewhere on the coast of the narrow sea.
The barks of Spice Town report her in her song at times. They say it's a sad thing.
I imagine even dragons get lonely.
Your Grace, it would be a great honour to join our houses as they were in old Valyria. I would give you many children of pure Valyrian blood so that we might strengthen the royal line and the realm.
Is that what your father told you to
Oh
say?
my lord.
What did your mother tell you?
That I wouldn't have to bed you until I turned 14.
That is so messed up.
Whether it's to my daughter or to someone else's, your father will remarry, sooner than late. His new wife will produce new heirs, and chances are better than not that one of those will be male. And when that boy comes of age and your father has passed, the men of the realm will expect him to be heir, not you.
Well, there is a prediction.
That's the order of things.
When I'm queen, I will create a new order.
Oh, I wish that could be Rhaenyra. But the men of the realm already have... Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne. And your father is no fool.
Oh, this is so messed up too. Oh.
I asked the stonemasons to...
It is the pleasure of Daemon Targaryen, the Prince of Dragonstone and rightful heir to the Iron Throne, to announce that he is to take a second wife in the tradition of old Valyria. She is to assume the title Lady Missaria of Dragonstone.
Oh.
Her grace is with child, and is to have a dragon's egg placed in the babe's cradle, in the custom of House Targaryen. The prince has invited you to his wedding, Your Grace. It is in 2 days' time.
Oh, the wall.
Daemon has seized Dragonstone,
The
has
wall.
surrounded himself with an army of gold cloaks, and has now stolen a dangerous weapon.
Oh.
Assemble a detachment, Otto. I will go to Dragonstone and drag Daemon back to face justice myself.
My apologies, Your Grace, but I cannot allow it. It's too dangerous. Daemon is without limit.
In Dragonstone, y'all. Oh. Oh man, those were the times, right? Game of Thrones.
Sir Crispin, wasn't it?
Sir Crispin Cole, my prince.
Ah, yes, apologies. I couldn't recall.
Perhaps my prince recalls when I knocked him off his horse.
Very good.
This is a truly pathetic show, Daemon. Are you so desperate for the king's attention that you've resorted to...
Yeah, dragon. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, is Rhaenyra here with her dragon? Oh. Oh my god. Even though it's smaller, but... Oh. Oh man, lots of Daenerys vibes. Lots of Daenerys vibes.
Targaryen blood. What's Stannis like?
She's 12.
She will mature.
Well, yeah, of course you don't give a shit.
I never asked to remarry.
As king, you have a claim on all things.
The princess has returned from Dragonstone.
Dragonstone?
Oh.
Become a woman grown. But I know she understands what is now expected of me.
The king must take a new wife.
I intend to marry.
Oh!
Alicent Hightower. Before Spring's End.
Oh! Oh!
This is an absurdity. My house.
Rhaenyra.
She's like, I did not expect her. What?
Same cloth.
Daemon? That's who he's talking about, right? Who he's talking to? Yeah, okay. Yeah, see? Conspiring against the king.
For a brother. We're both men who have had Daemon. Our worth is not given. It must be made.
The second episode of House of the Dragons, and there was definitely a lot of scandals in a sense. Of course, like a big part of this episode was the fact that they had to discuss about King Viserys having to take in a new wife because, of course, Aemma had passed away. So there has been a couple of, cringe-worthy moments that you can say. Of course, like for one part, how Valerian, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but you know who I'm talking about, right? Like the fact that he was willing to give up his 12-year-old daughter. I mean, that was quite something. But yeah, and then of course, like we all expected the whole Alicent and Rhaenyra friendship to kind of slowly start to deteriorate as we get more and more into the series, of course, because yes, they started off as best friends, but soon enough, like, we're gonna start seeing more of the conflict, more of the clash, more of like the differing opinions regarding who has the true claim to the Iron Throne. And with the fact that Alicent's probably gonna have a boy, male heir, it's going to cause even more chaos and more turmoil in Westeros. It's gonna be interesting just moving forward from that. And of course, I think just watching more of this episode, you can start to see more of the Hightowers being a bit more cunning compared to how they were in the first episode, where they were just kind of a bit more reserved, trying to be, the best judgment call in terms of like giving the advice to King Viserys, right? But like in this episode, you can start to not like the first episode hadn't already done that, but in this episode, we start to see more of who the Hightowers are, right? So that's just one point I wanted to make. Another point, of course, is Rhaenyra. I mean, you can definitely tell like she really, really wants to get into this role, but of course, because she is considered a so-called female, the last thing they kind of want is for her to actually have real duties as the heir of the king, right? But it was just so cool for her when she comes out at Dragonstone. Like, you just got a lot of Daenerys vibes out of that. I mean, just lots of nostalgia, just having to just look and watch that scene just uncover right there in front of her eyes, right? So that was quite a nice nod to Game of Thrones, of course. I mean, just again, just to see the parallelism between Daenerys and Rhaenyra. I mean, it's just great, right? But of course, with Rhaenyra, it's like you can tell she's definitely a different person compared to Daenerys. Because at least with Rhaenyra, like this wasn't a position that she was always, gonna be in, right? But it's just like she just knows that this is her truly her call, right? Like, she wants to do something. She wants to make a better world, like the same way that Daenerys has done it, right? And now it's like we're kind of seeing a bit more of those parallelisms for that reason. And then of course there's that whole conflict with Daemon. That's a big thing. I know a lot of people are really intrigued by Daemon Targaryen because he is the most straightforward Targaryen in the show compared to like anybody else, right? And it's like you definitely can see a bit more tension brewing. I mean, as we get more and more into this series, right? But it looks like there's going to be issues with the Stepstone, so that's probably going to be a big setup into getting into Dance of the Dragon. But yeah, and I can't really forget about making this point, but the so the House of the Dragon opening credit song is just basically the Game of Thrones theme song, which I guess in one sense, like, it's great to hear Game of Thrones theme song again. I mean, I guess it makes sense because it is the world of Game of Thrones, so what will be the reason to, like, create a whole separate new type of theme song for the series when it's like they're all in the same world, right? But also at the same time, it's just kind of like, it would have been nice to kind of hear different vibes, because it's not like we haven't ever heard House Targaryen's song before, right? Like their theme song during Game of Thrones, right? So it's like, it would have been nice to kind of see more of that. But I guess you can say it's part of the Game of Thrones theme song, so it is there. But yeah, I mean, they still did like a map situation with that, which is kind of great. But it doesn't seem like it is an actual like map of Westeros. It's kind of more inner. I don't know where. I guess it's gonna be more so towards either Red Keep or Dragonstone in that case. But that one was really intriguing. I mean, they're keeping up with kind of the style that they had with Game of Thrones, and now they're kind of incorporating the same style with House of the Dragon. So that was a really cool nod to it. But yeah, this was a very decent episode. Again, like, nothing too big. I mean, aside from the fact that there are some clashes brewing. I mean, for one part, we literally see the episode end off with Rhaenyra just absolutely just devastated to just learn that of all the people, of any person that her father could have, been betrothed, it happened to be her best friend, Allison, right? And that definitely was a huge devastation, right? So that's going to, again, we're going to see more of that being built up in this season. Like, again, like in the previews, they kind of hinted that, but yeah, like, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. Again, like, there really isn't a lot going on. Again, it was very dialogue, focused, but again, I think it just helps to really set up the story and just like show where everyone is in the checkerboard, right? Like, we have, okay, so Otto is the guy who's going to try and claim as much power as he can, now that of course his only daughter is going to now marry the king, and is very likely going to have an heir, a male heir, who's very likely going to have a lot of power. But then also we're kind of seeing Rhaenyra, who's kind of, I guess you can say, is like, in a sense, the main protagonist in a sense, because it is kind of her ring. And then, of course, we're seeing Daemon, who's taking a bit more, I guess not really a villainous role, but someone who is, again, more antagonistic compared to everyone else. But I am very intrigued to see what else is going to happen. Again, it's really nice kind of how they're setting up the things. Like, again, this is not like season 8 of Game of Thrones where they're literally like taking materials like worth of days, that would be like, what, 50 days or something in the Game of Thrones world, and like have it done within like, what, a single episode, right? This is kind of like, this is where we're seeing things are taking slowly developing, letting the story kind of just, slowly smooth through, right? And that's exactly the storytelling that we want. That's what we would have wished that we would have won for season 8, right? But yeah, again, this is another promising episode. I mean, not my favorite, but definitely helps to set things up, because again, this is kind of like the calm before the storm, and it's important to kind of have that information. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you think. How did you enjoy episode 2? I mean, are there things that you didn't know, things that are new? What do you think the things that transpired in this episode is going to lead up to? Where are you in terms of just like the characters, right? Like, who do you think is your favorite at this point, even though we're only in episode 2? Are you also kind of being suspicious about the Hightowers like I am? Maybe I'm just being a bit harsh, who knows? Or maybe I am, reading their faces correctly. Who knows, right? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.